My name is Cathy Rigg, and I have a novel coming out on June 10th. The title is That Which Binds Us. It's historical fiction, and it's available wherever books are sold. This is from Chapter 1, Elizabeth Young, March 1854. It was 5 days until the hanging when it came to me I needed to see Uncle Ruck one last time. Papa never would have allowed such a thing, me being a girl and one just only 13. But as it was a plan I made, it was a plan I carried out to the fullest, and even now I'm glad, even with all that's happened. Provisions was something to consider. Our ornery mountain skies liking to make their mind up as they go. Might be rain, might be snow, might be a mix of both, it being March in the Appalachians. I stashed some things down at the barn, though in truth I could have walked right past Mama, wearing a heavy coat and boots and a wide-brimmed hat, and she wouldn't have took no notice. I could have strapped a Remington across my back and paraded here and there and all around, and still she wouldn't have asked what I was up to or where I was going. She was already soft by then, missing, her life set apart. But Papa, he was different. He'd be working at the mercantile, which meant soon as I got to Blackmoorsport, I'd have to stay out of sight. His store was a good ways from the jailhouse, but with him you never can tell. He knows things, Papa does, things you can't expect and somehow can't figure. There was many occurrences of the journey I remember, like taking the shortcut up at Witta's Holler, that old granny witch watching my every move, like Stony Creek running high and me still needing to cross it. I looked that situation over with a good bit of determination and decided my best bet was to cut over near the old sycamore, where the water rushed with a great deal of fortitude, but the rocks, such as they were, made a good path to the middle. I pulled off my boots, rolled down my stockings, and got myself to crossing. It was cold when I first stepped, bare feet on icy rocks, and a tremble ran through, giving me pause. Then the thought came, skin'll stick to things that's froze. I ripped off quick and moved swift, stone to stone, and in no time I'd got to the center where sure enough there was no more boulders. There was just me, and before me a big wide spread of winter water. I would have to go in, this was obvious. So I took a good hard look down. Where was that bottom? Not where I could see it. That was the answer, so I raised high the hem of my dress and I stepped on in. Stony Creek ate my foot, my ankle, my shin. It was up at my knee time I first touched bottom. Hallelujah, that's one. I brought forth the other. Hooray, that's two. Three, it got deeper. Four, it got colder. 5, 6, 7, then 8, 9, 10, and I was out, delivered to the other side. My body was shaking, and my breath was coming in shivers. I dried off best I could using the sleeve of my coat, but as an idea, this was not that great. Finally, I just pulled on my boots, heaved myself up, and got myself to walking. It wasn't going to do one bit of good to fret over this chill, so I turned my thoughts to the jailhouse and just what I was going to say to Uncle Ruck. Why did you do it? Would be a good thing for starters. My husband and I were driving home from my homeland in Southwest Virginia, where the novel takes place. We had been there for my mom's funeral in 2013, and as we were driving out of the mountains, the feeling just came over me that I needed to write a novel and that it needed to be a novel of those mountains of my homeland. The novel, as I said, is historical fiction. It takes place in the mountains of Southwest Virginia in the middle of the 1800s. That place at that time really was kind of the Wild West. It was the frontier of Virginia. So it was a unique, remote place. The novel is the story of 5 people whose lives come together and cross and become inextricably linked at that time, which is backdropped by the Civil War. At the center of the story, though, is the heroine Elizabeth Young, who is a girl who comes of age against that backdrop and um, who, just finds her way to herself through all of the challenge and change that's taking place around her. Writing historical fiction does come with its own set of demands. Of course, there is plenty of research to be done, but then deciding how to weave those bits into the story without it being obvious that you've done a ton of research is the real trick, I think, to historical fiction that's compelling and that works. I happen to also love the research and I love history, so for me, research was really a big fun part of the whole process. Yeah, there is always a story behind the story, and I think in That Which Binds Us, those themes are of land, which is very significant in the novel, both because of the geography upon which the Civil War, when the battles were in that area, was very different, and so the difficulty of the terrain in those mountains was significant. Also, just the value of land. There's a character who becomes very wealthy because he is a massive landowner. So land is very important. Family and family secrets and families who are torn apart by being on different sides of the war or being on changing sides of the war. So family is a big part of this novel. Class structure is very significant. Religion, there's a religious triangle within the novel, and that was really, really fun and interesting to explore. So yeah, I think there's a lot more depth than just the plot, hopefully. I'm very proud that I hung in there. I could have given up many, many times. So if there's anybody who's watching this who has this idea, hang in there. It's a matter of timing, that's for sure, and tenacity. And I'm proud of the book. I really am. It's a story that, of course, is very dear to me, but it's also a story that I love, and I hope readers will too.